Today we are going to start working on a superhero database. From the last lessons, you should have learned that a database is something that can be used to store information about people or things. So we're going to start out by going to Access. So we're going to search for Access. When you open Access, you'll be asked how you want to start, just like you would with Microsoft Word or Excel. We are going to start from a blank database, but you can see how you can also start from templates. So click blank database. When you are using Access, you want to make sure you tell Access where you want to save your file at. We're going to name this file Superhero. Then we are going to save our files. We're going to just do it on our desktops for now. You can do desktop or your documents. Sometimes the U drive acts a little bit funny. All right, so once you've named your file and you also have told Access where you want to store your file, you can go ahead and click Create. Okay, so when you open Access, this is what it'll look like. You can see that you'll have tabs similar to like how you had in Word and Excel. On the left-hand side, you will see where all your objects will be at that you create. So whether it's a table, a form, report, or query. You'll also notice that there are two different views in Access. There is a data sheet view. What do you think the data sheet view would be used for? Right, to enter in data. And then you also have a design view. What do you think design view would be used for? Yeah, design view allows us to design our objects or our tables. So the first thing that we're going to do to start out with our database is we need to enter our information in. So anytime that you're creating a database, you always want to make sure that you enter your information in. And so we are going to create a table of superheroes. We're going to do that by going into design view. So in order to switch views, you can use the view buttons in the bottom right-hand corner. So you see when I place my mouse over it, it says design view. So I'm going to go ahead and click design view. And it's going to ask us to name this table. So we're going to name the table superhero. So whenever you name a table, you save a table, you'll notice over here on the left-hand side that the name of the object changes. One of the things that you learned about in our lesson over Access was that for your tables, you can have a primary key. Your primary key is what uniquely identifies information on this database. Keep in mind, there cannot be two of the same primary IDs or primary keys. So like you can't have two superheroes with the same name. So one of the things we want to make sure we do with the primary key, if you look at the data type, it says auto number. That means that it would automatically assign a number to our primary key. We don't want it to just say 1, 2, 3, 4, 5, 6, etc. We want to be able to type in the superhero name here. So I want you to click where it says data type. Click that drop down. Notice the different data types that we have available to us. So typically, a superhero name is not that long. So which data type do you think we should use? So we're going to use the short text option. Notice when you click on short text, it allows you to change the field size, meaning how many characters that you can type for a field. And then you also have other options below as well. So we're going to click back in field name and we're going to change the name of this field. So remember, your field is going to be the name of each column. So we're going to name this first field superhero. Superhero name. Okay, so next we're going to go to the next column or the next field that's going to be in our table. So we want to know the superhero name and we also want to know their special power. So we're going to type out special power. And remember, this is where we're designing our table. So we're telling Access what type of information we want to include about our superheroes. So for data type, we're going to use short text again. If you need to limit the field size, how many characters people can type or someone can type into this field, you can change the field size. I know there'll be questions like on your certification test where it tells you change the field size to a specific number. So let's say that the special powers, the name length is not going to be longer than, well, hopefully it's not going to be longer than 40 characters, let's say. So if you were having to create a superhero database on your own, what other information would you want to know about the superheroes? Yeah, so you might want to know things like their weakness, their location, know if they have a special friend, who their arch nemesis is, and maybe even if they have like a super gadget. So whenever you're creating a database, you want to think about what information do I need to know about these group of people or products, etc. So we're going to continue adding to our table. We are also going to include weakness of our superhero. Once again, this will be short text and we can update our field size if necessary. We are also going to include location, friend, gender, arch nemesis, or who's the bad guy, and then also a super gadget that they have. All right, so now that we have our table set up, these are all the columns that we want on our database. Once we have everything entered for all the fields, we can go back into data sheet view. So to change our views, we can go to the button in the bottom right hand corner, the one that says data sheet view, and now we can enter in our data. So we want to save our table? Yes. So now you can see how our columns have been laid out or our fields have been laid out, and we can start adding in information about our superheroes. Just like in Excel, if we click on the lines in between two fields, we can drag over and make that column wider, and you can adjust as necessary. So in design view, you can set up your table. You can also make changes in data sheet view, but I just prefer to, design it in design view, and then data sheet view is mainly for entering my data. You can still make changes, like I said, and you can do that by using your table tools, and you can click on fields, and you can see how you can also change your field sizes. You can also change your data types in data sheet view as well. You may be asked questions on your certification test about, creating a table in data sheet view versus creating a table in design view. You can do it in either. To add more fields, you can just click on the click to add. You can make changes here as well. So let's look at what it's like to change field sizes, for example, in data sheet view. So if I click in superhero name, I can click where it says field size on the field tab, and I can change that size to 20. So then I won't be able to type more than 20 characters in this field. Okay, so then we already changed our special power to 40. For weakness, we can change that size to 15, field size. Location, we're going to change the field size to 20. This is where we put the city name. For friend, we're going to do 20 as well. Gender, we're just going to do either male or female, or you can just say NA on this one. So let's do field size of 2 so that we can just put like 1 letter or 2 letters. For the arch nemesis, we are going to do the field size of 20. And we'll do 25 for the super gadget. So if I go into a field and I try to type more than 20 characters here, it's going to cut that name off. Whenever you push save here, you're saving the database. You can also individually save objects in your database as well. So let's go ahead and start entering in our superhero names. Let's start with the first one. Let's put in Superman. What was Superman's special power? So last year, my student said that his superpower was super strength. You know what his weakness is? Kryptonite. Location, Smallville. He had a couple of locations, but we'll put Smallville on there. And he did have a special friend. What was her name? Lois Lane. So for gender, we'll put male on here. Arch nemesis. Who is the arch nemesis of Superman? I went ahead and typed the rest of the information about the superheroes that I included in my table. So you can pause the video here and you can type in the rest of the information on your table. The next object that we are going to create is another table, but this time the table is going to be about villains. Pretty much anytime that you want to create something new in Access, you can go to the Create tab. So this is where you can find the different objects that you can create in Access. So we can choose to start our table from Datasheet view or Table Design view. I'm going to go back to Table Design so that I can set my next table up. And we are going to include our fields or our column names for our next table. So notice that there is not a primary key here. If I don't have a primary key, then I can use multiple of the same name in one column or one field. And I don't want to be able to do that because each arch nemesis has a different name. So I'm going to right click. Well, let me type in the field first. So this is going to be our arch nemesis. And then I'm going to right click and I'm going to select primary key. So that tells Access that no two arch nemesis can have the same name. I'm going to use short text again. We can go ahead and change our field sizes. So we're going to do the field size of 20. Next field is going to be strength. So this is the arch nemesis strength. We'll do short text again. We'll do 15 for the field size. And then the next field will be their weakness. These two tables have relationships because the superhero table has an arch nemesis field and the arch nemesis field has an arch nemesis field name as well. So these two tables share a relationship, and we'll look at that a little bit later. So I'm going to also put the field size for 15 here. Okay, so what do I need to do whenever I'm ready to save my table, go into Datasheet view, and to be able to add data to this table? That's right, I need to go to the bottom right-hand corner. I can find Datasheet view. It's going to ask me if I wanted to save my table. Yes. I'm going to name this arch nemesis. I could have done feeling too. That's okay. And then I'll click OK. So now I'm back in Datasheet view. This is where I can enter my data. Remember, if I need to adjust my columns, I can click and drag to change the width. So for our arch nemesis, they're going to match up with the superheroes that we had on our other table. So the first one we're going to type in is Lex Luthor, arch nemesis of Superman. His strength, intelligence, weakness, his ego. So I'm going to go ahead and type out the rest of these here, and then you can also fill them along and pause it as you need to. Right, so once we have our information entered in, you can see, well, if you like superheroes and comics, that type of stuff, you can see the relationship between the superheroes and who their arch nemesis is. And hopefully we got all the strengths and weaknesses right. We had to do a little research, so I'm not 100% sure about everything, but that's okay. So you can create tables or objects by going to the Create tab and choosing the object, but you can also import information into Access using different file types. So I want you to look on the Access screen and tell me which tab you think